programs with developmental in the past, and for some of you this is brand new and fresh. So this is a very short snapshot webinar, as the first in a series of 20 is the absolute basics of project management, and I'm presenting it, Tracy Bell. So most Thursdays there'll be another webinar. Just feel free to sign up through your Eventbrite and come along. There's 5 things I want to look at today. Who is Developmental Training Academy? What is project management? What is the life cycle? What are the key elements, and how to set an initial goal? So Developmental Training Academy started in 2009. We're a registered training organisation. We've had over 700 people through our courses. We specialise in project management fundamental education. In 2012 we were finalists in the Business Awards, and we've also been nominated for Training Provider of the Year in Queensland and Telstra Business Woman of the Year for me, which is exciting. So let's get started. We'll start with the definition so that we're all at exactly the same point. First of all, what's a project? A project is an activity with a defined start and finish date outside of your normal duties. So if it's your normal day-to-day work, you wouldn't consider it to be a project, but if you're given an additional activity or it's an unusual activity within your work, it could be considered a project. Management is the coordinating of human and material resources to a which leads to the combination of the two, project management, coordinating resources to complete an activity and achieve an outcome within a specified period of time. It's a very simple version, and you can see that particular definition can be applied across virtually every industry. Reorganising staff, running a marketing campaign, organising a function, purchasing equipment. The big one we're doing at the moment, converting all of our hard copy files to electronic files, which takes forever. Organising a school camp or a team development weekend, preparing for legislative changes and so on. So you don't have to be building a house or some other sort of building. It can be across any industry. So first of all, the project life cycle. Every project has a start and finish. That was part of the definition. A project life cycle is everything that happens in between, and there's a pattern that most projects follow. They go through a 4-stage process. You get an idea, someone does some planning, you execute or implement it to get some sort of outcome, then you review how you went and you finalise it at the end. We're going to go through this in a little bit more detail in a moment. The overarching umbrella above all of that is what we call monitoring and control. So that is keeping track of what you're doing and making sure that you are actually achieving the goals and standards that you set for yourself. So a concept, goal of the project, and you work out all the details you need to achieve it. That's where you create a tangible plan. You should actually write that down to achieve your goal that you set in the concept stage. I'm not sure what you missed visually, but we're up to the execution, which is the 4th step in the project life cycle. And that is where you actually implement your plan to make sure that your project happens, and finally you finish off the paperwork and you can look for improvements. Over all of that is the monitoring and control section, and that is where we're checking to ensure our plans are actually working. So that's basically the project life cycle, and it's designed to create some structure for a project. Now, of course, if you've done projects in the past, you know it's happened, and in many cases we identify some sort of problem. So you might get partway through, for example, through the concept planning and execution section, identify a problem, and then find that something has to be changed quite significantly. So you might have to go all the way back to the beginning, redo all your planning, and then work through that project again. So within a project, there's 8 key areas that we tend to look at: scope, which is another word for your concept. The time, cost, quality, communication, risk, the people or human resources aspect, and the procurement, which is the purchasing of materials, services. So the scope section of that is focused on the parameters of your project. So that's all the basic details, such as the team members, the title of the project, the date and starts and finishes, and so on. The background information, how it came about in the first place, what the objective is, any considerations that have been discarded, stakeholders who are involved in that, anyone who's got an influence on the project, the sponsor, who is the financial supporter, and also the client of the project. Then you would move on to specific project details. So what is actually included in a project, what is going to be excluded, such as you won't be doing the landscaping when you're building a house, but you will paint the house, do the tiling, and so on. And then any external factors. This could be risks, this could be other projects that impact on it, it could be any factor outside of your direct control that can cause some issues. So we're going to be looking at the scope of the project in about 3 or 4 weeks' time, so there'll be a lot more detail. Time is looking at basically your schedule, what happens between the start and the finish. So you use scheduling tools, whether it's software such as Microsoft Outlook or spreadsheets or project-specific applications. And later on down the track, when we look at scheduling, I'll show you some free software that you can use to set up your projects, which is fantastic. Cost, we're talking about. So there's 2 types of budgets. There's a preset budget, that's one that has been provided by a manager or a client or a sponsor or someone who's requested the project to be done. So you might get $100,000 to do XYZ project. Or a team calculated budget, which is a budget where you actually have estimated and team members working out how much the project will truly cost, and that's the budget that you will hopefully get approved. There's another concept called a baseline budget. Usually when you start a project, you'll have a particular budget, and it's like a budget set in stone. So as you go through the project, you can go back and compare it. When we look at the cost section in more detail, we'll go through how to create the different types of budgets and a little bit more about what a baseline is. Deliverables. Okay, we've got quality. Quality is incredibly hard to define because everyone sees quality differently. What I think is good quality, Cheryl might think is completely different. Deb might think it's something else as well. So the quality can be looked at in 2 aspects. One is the quality of the deliverable. Now, deliverables are project-specific word, and this is the products or services that you're creating for your client, your manager, your sponsor, whoever asked for that project to be done. So if you're doing a prototype for a toy car, the prototype itself would be the deliverable. If you're writing a new set of policies and procedures, the policy and procedures in the right format, the right style, saved in the right location would be what you look at the quality of. The second element of quality is the management. How well do you run your project? Does everyone communicate well? Did you stick to the budget? Were you on schedule? So quality is focused on 2 different areas, so you need to plan for both of those areas. Communication. So communication are the methods and mediums, so email, telephone, face-to-face, are you writing a report, is it a text message, and also any barriers that you face, such as background noise and echoing, video cameras not working, and any other types of barriers, such as people's experience, their language, their skills and abilities, whether it's hot or cold, windy, rainy, whatever that might be. The next key element of a project is risk. Risk is pretty significant because if you have issues with any factor, you can actually lose control of your project and potentially fail on it. So you need to clearly identify risks very early in the project and look at strategies. And risk isn't just workplace health and safety, it's also things like environmental issues, financial risk. Could you go broke running this project? Reputational. If the project goes wrong, will you ever get another project to do? Or will your company lose all of its major projects from there? There's also legal and legislative and other types of risk as well. And we'll look at doing a risk management plan about halfway through this series. People, human resources. You can't run a project without people, whether they're your suppliers or they're actually team members. So what you need to do with your people is make sure their skills actually match the work that they're going to do. Otherwise, their performance won't be up to standard and you might have rework to do. And other issues are about working in teams and team dynamics, setting rules for your teams, and also conflict resolution. So when we look at HR planning, we'll go through that in a bit more detail. Procurement is getting a hold of all the materials, services, equipment, and skills that you need to execute your project, and this can be quite challenging, particularly if you have things custom made or there's a rarity, so you can't get a hold of what you need quickly or easily. Also time frames, how long it takes for delivery, what happens if things are late, and so on. And contracts. If you order 100 items from someone and they've told you they're going to give you that item for $1 each, and then it's $10 each, it makes a significant difference to a budget, so you need to put contracts in place in the procurement phase of project. So they're the 8 key areas, and this is just an overview. As we go through the next 19 webinars, each one of those will become a topic for a different day, so you can get into them. Additionally, I was going to go through information on setting a goal, but I think we're going to run out a bit of time, so I've got that on YouTube at the moment at that address, and I'll email it through to you. But we're going to look at setting a SMART goal so that it's all covered effectively and you don't miss any parts of what you need to do. So overall, there were 4 things that we covered. The first one is who Developmental Training Academy is, what is project management. Thirdly, what is the life cycle of a project and what are the key elements? And the how to set a goal section I've recorded and put on YouTube for you, and I'll send you all through that link shortly. Next week we're going to be looking at the structure of a project. So it's creating a flowchart to get your structure right and looking at the critical path, which is working out how long your project is actually going to take. And we'll do that with a sample project so you can have a look at how it actually coming up in October, we've got a conference on project management in plain English, and that's a 3-day event. It also leads into people doing certificates for and project management. There's no charge for the certificate conference. If you've got any questions, feel free to email me or give me a call on the details that you've already got. Otherwise, thank you for your time, and I'll see you next week. I'll be here for a few minutes if anyone